Injustice has been here long before I was born into this world. It's in history, in the systems, in relationships, in the world around us. And some people carry the feelings of injustice for their whole life. And it's easy to fuel the fire of injustice, but every time we do it, it only grows stronger. You can't fight fire with fire. You can't stand against injustice with injustice. When you become conscious, you choose to stand firmly in peace. And I come in peace. Even when everything around you feels unfair, there is a peace that is within you. And that comes from the pure understanding that whatever you're perceiving, you're not it. Let me break, let me try to get into the energy of injustice for you. Injustice brings chaos and destruction to society. It doesn't matter. Society, the world at large, that feeling of injustice is very strong and it creates a kind of turmoil and inner rage. It touches us emotionally, mentally, even psychologically. And if you look around right now, you'll see it manifesting everywhere. But you don't have to be consumed by it. And here's why. For something to feel unfair, it has to touch something personal within you. It has to feel like yours. And that only happens when you identify with it. When some part of our identity gets wrapped up in the story. Injustice is everywhere, but the ones that affect us the most are the ones that we identify with. Maybe from our history, our beliefs. That's a strong one, our beliefs. That's why identity is linked, or identity is what brings the feelings of injustice. When you feel the emotions from injustice, it's because you have linked, you have connected to the story, to the situation. Without that link, it's just another event in the world. There's so much going on. There's so much injustice going on in the world, but the ones that really affect us is the ones that we identify with. That's why it becomes personal. They say justice is blind, but sometimes it feels more like a delusion to me, because who really knows what the full extent of the story is? In most conflicts, someone is presumed right and someone is presumed wrong. And each side presents their case, but the truth gets lost in the noise of all of it, in the presumption. And in the world today, it's so easy to get lost in the noise of injustice. There is always blame when it comes to injustice. That's what ignites the chaos that comes with injustice. That's what blame is. It's energy that needs somewhere to go. It's the mind's way of trying to make sense of what we're feeling when we can't fully explain or understand it. And that's when feelings of injustice naturally arise. First, when we identify, and then the feelings come. Whether you're the one being wrong or watching someone else go through it, that emotional charge pulls you in. And now you're not just witnessing injustice, you're identifying with it. And that is where the feelings of being powerless begins. And the feelings from experiencing injustice, they don't just pass. As long as you identify with them, they stay attached to you. And with that, we feel rage, anger, that powerlessness. Is that a word, powerlessness? Yeah, that powerlessness, if that makes sense. It can feel like you're always on high alert, tension, injustice, and all the feelings that come. It brings tension. You always feel like you're on a high alert. That's the turmoil of injustice. I've experienced it before. That's why when I sit and I ponder it, all of that comes up for me. You feel violated in a sense. No, not in a sense. You feel violated, right? So how do we really let go of the feeling that comes with injustice? It begins with remembering who you are. It begins with remembering who you are. The moment you reconnect with your true self, your true nature, you loosen the grip of identity on the situation. You step back from the story you're tangled in, and you return to the awareness that lives beyond the identity, beyond the story. In that space, a release happens. That heavy, heavy feeling. There's a weight that comes with injustice. That heavy feeling softens. And from there, you don't see injustice through the lens of anger or identification. You see it from a more conscious state of being. And that changes everything, because you're not reacting from what you're feeling. You're not reacting from the rage. You're seeing it from conscious awareness. You respond from awareness. I take refuge in the true self, which is the awareness that is behind the emotion. I'm here and I've come to meet you because I'm not only just trying to show or give you a solution. I'm pointing you back to yourself, to the source. I realize that I'm suffering. If I'm suffering from injustice, I'm suffering because I've gotten too identified with the story. I've merged my energy with it. I've made it mine. And sometimes our experience has made us super sensitive to those situations. Yeah. And it's not easy at this point to just return to presence or return to a peaceful state while you're overwhelmed with all these emotions and feelings. You know, deeper, when you look deeper, most people meet injustice with the same emotion. The rage, the anger, the turmoil of it all. It's all rooted in powerlessness. Feelings of being powerless to it. And many let the energy define them. Some even let it consume them in how they react, in how they respond. You can see it happening all around us right now. It's right in front of us right now. But the awakening is to recognize who you are. Who you are in all of this. Who you are in the world around you. We are going to experience many things in life, but reacting through the identified person will only brings more suffering. I know the energy that comes with being treated unfairly. I know the feelings. I've experienced it many times. I think at some point we all have. We all have. The wisdom is not to meet injustice with the same energy it carries, because that only multiplies the chaos, and that will never bring peace. Will never bring peace. It doesn't mean that we ignore injustice. Doesn't mean that we ignore injustice, but we don't allow it to control our peace. The difference is being aware of it, but not identifying with it. That is not who you truly are. That is not who you truly are. So for those that are awakening, understand that the sense of what we see physically is truly not who we are. And when you see from that, then you don't get tied or tangled up in the situations when you see injustice happening, but you see it from a more conscious, a higher conscious level. And from that place, you won't feel the weight of it. And so if there's something you can do, or if you're moved to do something or do anything about the injustice, it will come from a more conscious place and not a place of rage. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, angry, maybe in the face of injustice, angry at humanity, make use of that energy in a most powerful way. Pray for peace, because you're seeing it. You're seeing the illusion of it all. Pray for peace, because awakening does not discriminate. It doesn't. It doesn't. It strips you of all of the identity, all of the things that we're experiencing. It strips us of that. It strips you by showing you what is real, so you can look within. And when these feelings, these strong emotions arise from what we experience in our daily lives, they won't overwhelm you. It's about bringing your attention inwards. The world may be on fire, but you don't get burned by it. The destruction and the chaotic energy of injustice is all around. It's all around us, but don't get consumed by it. You are the witness. Peace, be still. You are the consciousness behind all of it. That's the truth of who we are. You can act without being consumed by the feelings that comes from injustice. You could care deeply without being torn apart by it. That makes sense? So to release the feelings, remember who you are. Remember who you are. There is no path if you don't know who you are. There's no path if you don't know who you are. That's the journey, to remember who you are. And injustice is one of those things that is an awakening for us to wake up to who we really are. And when we remember this, a kind of release happens. It has made me softer, wiser, if you may. It has lifted so much of what I was carrying before I woke up. And that's when you're able to forgive and pray for peace, and even pray for those who are causing the injustice. Remember, awakening doesn't change the world. It changes how you see the world. So when life feels unfair, and it will, return to the one place you can always trust. Presence, your true self. And from there, you'll know exactly what to do. So if this resonated with you, share it. That would be a good thing. Share it with someone who's carrying the feelings of injustice, and you know that it's weighing them down. Share it with them. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.